Greetings to everybody. How y'all doing? I'm Mason L. Uh, it's like my first time doing this, but basically what I'm gonna be doing is just sharing some knowledge and information I came across, just to assist the people and enlightening and educating themselves. Uh, this is gonna be a bunch of different topics. I encourage everyone to leave comments, questions. If I can answer your questions, I will. If I can't, I'm gonna find the answer and still answer them. Basically, that's about it. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Constitution. I think that's a good point to start at because people are speaking about constitutional rights and civil rights, and it's basically where we can start. We can start learning together. But the first thing I want to go into is we weren't taught about the constitutions in high school, middle school, whatever. We were taught about a constitution, but truth be told, the original constitution was written in I believe it was signed at a constitutional convention. I'm not sure, but it was around September 1787, and it was a Constitution 4. Keep in mind that word 4, the United States of America, and a new one was rewritten, and it was forced upon the other states between the times of 1865 and 1870 after the Civil War. And that Constitution is called the Constitution of the United States. And they two, for the most part, I say for the most part, they're similar, but the applications and the deceit that lies within the second one is a lot more treacherous, I should say. Okay, the first one, it's a lot of different bills there that I want to get into, but since it's the first one, I just really want to get into just the main one, and that would be the 13th Amendment. And a lot of people think the 13th Amendment was no more slaves, all that other good stuff, and blah blah. No, that's what they taught us in school, and that's not true. The original 13th Amendment. Hold on, I gotta. Okay, the original 13th Amendment is, if any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, or retain any title of nobility or honor, or shall without the consent of Congress accept and retain any present, pension, office, or emolument of any kind whatever from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power, such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States and shall be incapable of holding any office or of trust or profit under them, or either of them. Okay, basically what that means is a title nobility. Okay, if you look now, everybody that holds these offices and these positions are lawyers. Okay, a lot of people don't know when you become a lawyer. I know a lot of us, from Elkhart, know Maury Miller. He'll confirm this, he'll verify this. I don't know how many people know lawyers. But when you become certified to practice law, you have to pass a bar. A bar, I think it's called I want to say the British Accreditation Registry or something like that, I think. But it's overseas. It's basically allegiance. It's an oath you take to become a lawyer. That's a title of nobility. You become a lawyer, esquire, whatever you want to call it. You become a lawyer. That's a title of nobility. So that should bar you from holding any office. Now, when that became so that means every public office shouldn't have anyone in it, right? Because everybody is lawyers. Presidents, senators, all of them are lawyers. Judges, prosecutors, everybody is lawyers. All of them. Okay, so they couldn't have that because they wouldn't have any power if it was just average people being holding these offices like it should be. But the new 13th Amendment, it says about slavery, blah, 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 blah. That was kind of like I guess that was the way to trick their way into office because people were so caught up with the slavery thing. And, I'm going to post a picture as well in the comments for this video about Honest Abe. He was just the worst president ever. But, they trying to hype him up to where he was so honest and all this stuff. But, anyways, we'll get into that. But, okay. since we speaking on that, I'm gonna go into the reason why we went to Civil War. Like they didn't teach us this in school either. We didn't go to Civil War for slaves. Had nothing to do with slavery. Had nothing to do with the South treating blacks bad, doing this, doing that, and all this other good stuff. It's a bunch of propaganda to keep the actual issue out of the media and out of history books. When when they started the corporation, the United States, the first one, the first Constitution, that was a corporation. It was a trust between everyone because they had just invaded this new country and they wanted to start something new. So they started something new or whatever, and they needed a way to, organize, a government. They had honest intentions, even though they came and got the land bogusly, murdered all those people. But they're not Indians either. They're Native Americans. Please stop calling them Indians. But they came and murdered all the Native Americans. They started a new corporation, new country, all that good stuff, and they started their land. But they didn't have the resources or the funds to actually start a whole country. So what they did is they went to who had all the money and funds and resources and whatnot, and that was England. At the time, England was, I guess, pretty rich, I guess you could say, as far as monetary wise. So I asked England for the cash or whatever, even though they just left England. They just left. And England was basically like, they see the potential with it, this whole new country. These guys already over here, they settled it. We lost a little battle or whatever. We ain't butthurt or nothing over it. But we can send y'all cash because we know what it's gonna generate in the future. Because y'all have all this land, y'all doing all these treacherous things. That's we can expand our economy. We can make more money. That's all it's about, money. So yeah, they loaned them some cash. Okay, and I believe it was a 70-year note, and this 70-year note, I guess matured. Or it was time for them to pay it back. Abraham Lincoln convened Congress. That was in 1861. He convened Congress. And to this day, that congressional hearing or meeting or whatever it's called, it was never ended because the South walked out. But they convened, and basically Abraham Lincoln brought these matters to the South. He brought it to everybody, but, it was the South that had a problem with it. Basically, Abraham Lincoln was like, we owe this money. We have to figure out a way to pay it back. And the South, really, at this time, the South was a superpower of our country because they had the slaves, or they had a booming industrial. They had booming, just everything was just it was nothing but profit for them. And I believe you can check the economics and whatnot for the time. I believe if the South was to succeed, it would have cost the North over $200 million, I believe. And with 1861, $200 million was a lot of money. So the South was, they knew the power they had. So they like, no, we're not paying anything. We didn't borrow anything. They wanted, tell them to come get it, and basically they walked out. They left. No, we're not paying anything. We left, and that's where the Confederate flag come from. What y'all call a Confederate flag? It's not a Confederate flag. It's a rebel flag. They went against the United States. They breached contract. That's why that original Constitution of 1787. That's why that Constitution was broken. It ceased. And when that ceased, the United States ceased. And you look all this up, Lieber codes, Leiber, I believe, or Lieber, Lieber codes, or General Codes 100. 1861, there was no Constitution. It was martial law. They used the General Codes 100, a.k.a. the Lieber codes, to govern the land and whatnot. So after they did this, the North, they have to figure out a way to sway public opinion. The same way they did, with the World Trade Centers, going over there stealing all that oil and stuff. That's what they do, man. That it's propaganda. They convince us that somebody's doing something so bad, so we just so anxious to get over there and retaliate. And that's not the case. Like I said, I'm post a picture in there of what y'all Honest Abe, what he thought about black people. So okay, so they have the war or whatever. If I don't know, I may put some comments or something in there because I think I'm gonna miss some stuff. This is my first one. I ain't really prepared for it that well. But okay, so the rebel flag was born. It was a military flag. They basically saying, "F the United States. We not doing this. We not doing that. F y'all. This us." That is a rebel flag. Please stop calling people prejudiced for having a rebel flag. It does not represent slavery or prejudice at all. And please stop saying racism. We're all one race, race of mankind. You cannot be racist against somebody that's the same race as you, regardless of nationality or color, whatever you want to call it. If you dislike someone for a certain reason, skin color, sex, sexual orientation, anything, that makes you prejudiced, not racist. If you dislike someone because of the color of their skin, that makes you prejudiced, not racist. Okay, but so the North ended up winning because of the propaganda they put down with the how they was portraying to the world how the South was just destroying, just doing so much, and just doing all type of bad stuff. There was bad things done, don't get me wrong, but there were blacks that owned slaves. I'm gonna find a case law, I'm gonna put it in the comments. But there was a black man that actually took somebody to court for a slave. So it couldn't have been that bad if blacks was able to own slaves in the South. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure it was bad. Don't think like I'm trying to, belittle or demean it in any way. But if other blacks had slaves, how was that possible if blacks were slaves? And how could a black man go to court during the time of slavery for a slave, for another black man? Okay, but anyway, so the North won the Civil War or whatever, and that was what, 1865, I believe, something like that. Yeah, I think 1865 or something like that. So they won the war or whatever, and they adopted a new constitution because now, see, Abraham Lincoln, he was fighting for the banks. That's who he owed the money to. So now the banks are in there. They got a puppet. Abraham Lincoln was a puppet. So now, we got you. You just won. So now we got to make a new constitution. The Constitution for the United States of America, the Constitution of the United States. So we gonna take out the 13th Amendment because we need to get our lawyers in there. Remember, they were there in England. Britain, bar attorneys, British Accreditation Registry. You know what I'm saying? Starting tying together. But they got to get their lawyers in there to control the country. So they removed the 13th Amendment that barred attorneys from being in office. And they added that. And then they added the 14th Amendment. Okay? So this is another thing. I know this video getting long, man. I hope I'm not boring y'all. But I'm going to cover the 14th Amendment. And then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to do another subject another day, or we can continue with this, whatever comments, whatever I see, like, we'll go from there. But, okay, the 14th Amendment as well. Y'all gonna love this. Okay, the 14th Amendment, it created the U.S. citizen. The U.S. citizen was only intended for slaves because at the time, there was only a thing known as a state citizen. A state citizen was someone born in a certain state. Get it? Like, you get rights, your state protects you, all that good stuff. So when the slaves got freed, some of them weren't born there. Some of them were still from Africa. But the ones that were born there, they should have been state citizens, but they still considered us property, so we don't have God-given rights, I guess. But rights from the Creator, pardon about it. But so they create the U.S. citizen, and they basically create these rights. They're called civil rights. Like, that's why it kind of confuses me that everybody nowadays think they have civil rights. Unless you were a slave freed in 1865, you do not have civil rights. You have rights from the Creator entitled to you that no man can take from you. The Constitution is not our rights. The Constitution is our rights put on paper to let the government know that you can't mess with these. You can't stop a person from speaking their mind. I'm saying, you can't stop a person from carrying a gun. You can't stop a person from cross-examining a person that's accusing them of doing wrong. You can't stop a person from giving you the middle finger because that falls under the freedom of speech. The Constitution isn't our rights. It's protecting our rights that aren't seen because we have rights from the Creator that we can't see. Like, I'm a man. The only thing that I have to do is not hurt anyone, don't damage anyone's property, or deprive anyone of liberty, life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness. As long as I'm not doing any of those things, those are my laws. That's the law of man. But they created this legal system. Like, it's crazy, man. I had to get into it. This video running long already. I don't think y'all watched it for 14 minutes, but okay. I had wrote down some stuff too. But and the 14th Amendment, when the government creates something, it controls it. Like they created Section 8, food stamps, all that stuff. They dictate what you do, how you can do it. They can revoke it. They can take it. You know what I'm saying? They can charge you. They can not charge. They can reduce it. It's because they created it. Same way like you created your children. Like your offspring, you can tell them when to come in, when not to come in, what to eat, what not to eat. They're yours. So if the government created rights and created you, they control you. They own you. And that's the first thing they ask you, are you a U.S. citizen? Yep. Even though you're not. U.S. citizens were for the free slaves that didn't belong to the country of America. Not belong like ownership, but like you were indigenous to that land. You were born there. You are entitled to that land. The state citizens are entitled to that land because they were born there. U.S. citizens were not born there. They were given rights, civil rights. So like, it really bothers me with this civil rights movement and all that stuff. We don't have civil rights. U.S. citizens have civil rights. And U.S. citizens' rights are controlled and dictated by the government. How can another man, and the government ain't even a man, the government is a sheet of paper, but how can a sheet of paper created by man tell you what you can and can't do and what you're allowed to do? We've allowed this country to just go down the drain, man. It's horrible. Every time I think about it, it's horrible. I'm like back in the day, like Martin Luther King ain't really know all this. I think he should have studied more law. He wouldn't have been pushing for civil rights movements, pushing for civil rights and all that stuff. Because if you look up civil rights, it was created by the government. That's why you don't see any justice in the media anymore. You don't see any justice. You don't see none of this. Because the system was set up and it's working perfectly. They convinced everyone that they're U.S. citizens and that they're property of the government. One more thing I'm gonna put in the comments too. The United States Government Printing Office Style Manual, Chapter 3. Google it. I'm gonna put it in there. But basically, it's in there that say the proper way to spell someone's name is a first letter capital and rest lowercase. If it's spelled any other way, it's a corporation. Look at your ID, social security card, your mail, bills, all capital. It's a corporation. It was done with good purposes because the people are sovereign, but corporations can't make money with sovereigns because you can't honor a contract with a sovereign. So the government created us these, legal names so we can, engage in commerce. Like, it's just somewhere after it was originally started, and now, I'm pretty sure it was a lot sooner than now, but they perverted it to where it benefited them, and it robbed us. But, the United States, I'll get into that another time, but the United States is a corporation. That's what the Constitution is. It's basically their mission statement. They trust. It's basically the bylaws of the company. They can't break those bylaws. They're not supposed to. But also, this is the last thing I'm saying, then I'm out of here. The Constitution does not apply to U.S. citizens. Let that sink in for a second. The Constitution does not apply to U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens have civil rights. Y'all hear me? The Constitution does not apply to U.S. citizens because U.S. citizens are considered persons, chattel property. The Constitution applies to the people and only the people. You are not one of the people if you are a U.S. citizen. Let that sink in. And civil rights are similar to constitutional rights. Only thing is, since the government created civil rights, they can restrict them whenever they want. That's why certain people can't talk in public. That's why you need to get a permit before you protest. So I need to get permission. That's what permit is. I need permission to exercise a constitutionally protected right. Yes, because you don't have a constitutionally protected right. You have civil rights, and we only gonna let you exercise it if you pay us. Keep in mind, G, a permit and a license is permission to do something that without such is illegal. So a permit and a license is telling you it's illegal to do that without this document or without this instrument. Keep that in mind and tell me if you still think you got constitutionally protected rights. No, you're a U.S. citizen. You have civil rights. Therefore, they can be governed, taken away, revoked, fined, taxed, all type of stuff. But this it. I think the next one, I don't know what the next one gonna be about. I ain't thought about it yet. Like I said, I'm prepared a little better, but I hope y'all learned something. And like I said, I'm gonna put those things within underneath the video, so y'all can look it up and check stuff like that. But be well.